The DJI Mimo is the app, so we can control, for example, the Osmo 360 from the smartphone. And this is the tutorial where we're going to go through the app and the camera features of the app. To be able to connect the DJI Mimo app to your camera, you need to turn on the camera, and then you also need to open the app. At the bottom here, we can see that the camera option is the one we have in the middle. If we tap that one without having the camera turned on, we're going to get this screen. So now it's time to turn on the camera with the button on the side. After that, we get this question if we would like to connect to this camera, and of course we would like to. When we tap that one, it's going to handshake with the camera over Bluetooth, and then we're going to get this question if we allow the phone to connect to this camera via Wi-Fi. And we say join, and now we're going to establish a Wi-Fi connection to the camera over the 5 GHz network. And then after that, we can just tap the camera, and this is where we're going to get the camera view. So now let's go through the interface of the app. At the very top here, that's where we can set the resolution of the camera, and at the bottom here, that's where we set the mode of the camera. So for example, when we are in video, we can set if we would like to film in 4K, then we only have access to 100 frames per second. We can film in 6K, and then we have the option to film between 24 and 60 frames per second, and we have 8K, and then we have the option to film between 24 and 50 frames per second. To exit this, we just tap on the screen. If we tap the home symbol here, then we're just going to go back to the home screen of the Mimo app, and then we just need to tap the camera again to get back to where we were before. Then we also have some indications here. First, we have the connection status here. We're going to try how far away we can walk from the camera and still retain a connection. And then we have the battery percentage, and we also have what kind of shooting mode we are in. And here we have rotation locks. If I now rotate my screen, we can see that it follows. If I tap that one, it locks it so it doesn't rotate anymore. So let's unlock that one. And then at the bottom here, this is where we have our profile. So we can save all our settings into profile, and then we can just recall all those settings via a profile that we have down here. We can see that we don't have any custom modes as of now because I haven't saved any. So the next one here, that is where we see that we can actually recenter the camera. So if we tap that one, we recenter the camera. If we tap it again, we're going to see that we can see what the other lens sees, and then we can toggle between these two so we can see what the other lens sees. If we then scroll or we move a pan around here, then we get a little dot in the middle here. That means that we're not centered, and then we can tap it again and we are back to center. The next one here, that is of course the record button. So if we tap it, we start recording, and then we can also see that we have the audio interface, so we can see how loud the volume is that is recorded, and then here we see how long we have been recording for. So then we stop the recording again, and it's saved. The next button here, that is to switch between 360 mode, or if we're gonna have one lens mode. If we tap that one, we switch to one lens mode instead, and then we can pan anywhere. This is where we get the widest field of view, or we see what that lens actually sees. And if we tap it again, we switch back to 360. If we are in one lens mode, we then can tap these arrows to switch to the other lens again. And then when we are in this single lens mode, we also have the possibility to change the resolution at the very top and also the ratio of the footage. And here we can see that we are now in 4K resolution. We can switch between 2.7, 4K and 5K in single lens mode. We can also select if we would like to be, when it doesn't say anything, it's a 16:9 ratio or 4:3. The sensor of the Osmo 360 is a squared 1-inch sensor, so to be able to capture as much information as possible, you should actually select the 4:3 and then crop it in post. If you select the 16:9, the one where it doesn't say anything, then the camera does the cropping internally. So then we can close this again, and then the next thing we see here, that is of course to go back into the album to take a look at what we just captured. So here we now have this video that we captured, and then to go back we tap the arrow back again, and then to go back again we tap the arrow back again, and now we are back into capture mode again. And if we switch to photo instead, then we also get the timer up here, so we can select what kind of a countdown timer we would like. If we would like to have a countdown timer, we can have it from off all the way up to 10 seconds. Let's take it to off. And then up here where it says 20 megapixels, if we tap that one, we can adjust how many megapixels we would like the photo to have. So we can switch between 12 megapixels, and let's take a photo. And then we can switch to 20 megapixels and take a photo. And then we can switch to 30 megapixels and take a photo. And you can also see that it's actually changing how the image is cropped internally before it captures. So it's not the same field of view. It seems like we actually get a wider field of view in 20 megapixels and a little narrower in 30 megapixels, or that is actually what it looks like here. But here on the screen you can now see what it actually looks like when we take out the image from the camera. Now let's go into boost video instead. And when we are in boost video, so these settings you have here, that is depending on what kind of lens option you have here. And now when we are in single lens mode, we can see that we have boost video, video and photo. Those are the ones we can switch between. And if we then instead switch to 360, we can see that we have a lot more options to select from here. But let's go back here to single lens mode again and take a look at video. And then remember that when we were in video here, we have these options between 2.7K up to 5K. And the highest frame rate we have is 60. If we then go to boost video, we can also see that suddenly we get a much wider field of view, because this is something that is very unique with this camera. You get a 170 degrees angle when you capture in boost video, and we can see that it's also affecting the resolution and the frames per second. And here we can see that we actually got up to 120 frames per second, so we can slow this down quite a bit and still have a really good quality of the image. So we can just see here that now when we are in boost video, I can go here, we see the camera is here right beside me, and now you can already see me. I'm just next to the camera. It's just right here. And if we go back to video instead, I actually need to walk all the way here, and now the camera is back there. So you can see what difference it makes if you're going to capture this kind of angle versus boost video. So we get 170 degrees. It's basically this amount of field of view that we have in boost mode compared to about this. It's a big difference. So now let's go back to 360 capture again, and then we can take a look here. So we had photo, we have video, we have super night, and in super night we can also check what options we have here. We have 8K 30 or 6K up to 30, and we have 24, 25 and 30 frames per second. I'm gonna compare all these in another video that I'm gonna link in the bottom when it's available, so we can compare how the night mode is of this camera and where we get the best quality. And then we also have selfie mode, and when we are in selfie mode, now you can see that we basically only capture the ground when we have the camera on the ground. And that is because this is specifically for when you have the camera on a selfie stick. So basically when I have the camera like this, a little bit angled upwards like this, then you're going to capture yourself perfectly. So you can walk like that. So you don't need to have it like that to have it in selfie mode. So when you have it in selfie mode, the camera should be like this, and then you're going to be perfectly framed in this camera. And the next thing, that is the vortex. The vortex, then you need a special tripod, because that is when you're swinging the camera around like this. It's kind of crazy. I've never really liked that one. But so in time lapse, we get these extra setting here, so we can select how long we want the time lapse to be. If we're gonna have as long as possible until the memory runs out, we're gonna have 5, 10, 20, 30, 1 hour, or up to 5 hours time lapse. And then we can also have what kind of interval we should have. And at the bottom here, we can see how long it should be between each capture. So for example, at the bottom here, when we have it 1 second, that is perfect for crowds, for example. And if we take it to 2 seconds, that is perfect for clouds instead. And then we have 3 seconds, that is perfect for sunset. But then you also have the option to take all the way from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 1 hour between each picture, if you so wish to have it. So those are the settings we have here. So at the top here, there is a conversion. So we can see that now we have set this to 5 hours and 1 second between each shoot. Those 5 hours is going to result in a 10-minute video. If we take, for example, 10 minutes that we're going to capture over the course of 10 minutes, then these 10 minutes is going to be converted into a 20-second video. So you get a handle conversion thing at the top here. And if we instead go to Hyperlapse, that is another way to speed up the photo. So if we tap at the top here, we can see that we only have option to select 8K, 25 or 30 frames per second, and then how much we want it to be sped up. So for example, if we wanted to sped up 5 times, I'm gonna record, and then I'm gonna walk up here, and then we turn around and we walk back, and then we stop it, and then we go in and take a look how this turned out. Then we can see that it turned out to be 1 second video. Here we play it, to play it we just tap. So now we'll sped up 5 times. And if we instead then go to time lapse, here we can't select such short recording, but we can do, for example, we would like to record for 5 minutes, we would like to take the interval, the shortest we have is 1 second, and then if we take record here, and we walk up here now it's going to take 1 picture for every second, so it's going to be completely different kind of video compared to the hyperlapse. But they both do kind of the same thing, they speed up the footage. So now after that we can just stop it, you can always stop it manually, and if we now go back and play this, it has to load first. And because we are now playing it in 30 frames per second, we need 30 frames to be able to get 1 second of video. So that is the difference between those ones. The hyperlapse is for really long exposures when it's from 5 minutes or more, and then hyperlapse, that is just if you would like to speed up things that are a lot shorter to record. Now let's go through those 3 dots at the very top left here. I ran out of battery of my camera, that's why I switched position. So if we press that one, we can see that here we have some more settings. Let's start to the right here. Here first we can enable Pro mode settings. And if we do that, I'm going to show you what we get. First, let's go through what loop recording means. We can have that to off, 5, 20 minutes, 1 hour or maximum. And what loop recording means is that it's going to loop the recording. So if we set it to 5 minutes, it's going to record up to 5 minutes, and then the 5 minutes and 1 second, then it's going to remove the first 1 second. So you're going to get a clip that is 5 minutes long. If you have max, you're going to use the entire storage, and when it's full, it's going to overwrite the oldest one. We can set that to off. As we can see here, we do not have pre-recording that we have when we are recording from the camera itself. Pre-recording is, so for example, if we set that to 30 seconds, that means that at the moment we start recording, it's going to actually store what happened from 30 seconds before I press the button. You also have a grid where you can have grid lines and grid plus diagonals that show up here. It doesn't show up on the camera screen actually when you enable it here, so that's only in the Mimo app. And at the very top, if you enable Pro settings, let's take a look at here. Now we don't have anything else than just the resolution and the home button. If we enable Pro settings, we get, first of all, we get here that we can set the white balance here. We also have the option to switch between normal 10-bit and D-Log 10-bit. And then we also have the histogram that can be added and overexposure alert. If we have overexposure alert, we will get an alert when something is overexposed. So for example, the white car over here, we can see that it has these zebras that are going over it. That means that it's overexposed. We can't retain any details from those parts. If we go back here, we turn that off, and then we have histogram. That will just show this histogram where to the left, those are the darkest part, and to the right, we have the lightest part. And we can see that it's more or less equally distributed all over the light spectrum of this photo. So now when we go back here, we can also see that we got this little option at the very top where it says auto and a camera. If we tap that one, that's when we now get access to manual settings for the camera itself. So for example, exposure, shutter and ISO that we can set here manually. When we are on non-pro, it looks like this at the bottom. If we enable Pro mode, now we can see that we also get information about what settings the camera have here. So we are in auto, but it's currently using 1/8000 in shutter speed, ISO 601, very specific, and an exposure compensation of 0.7. We can't change anything down here. If we tap that one and we go to manual settings instead, if we, for example, now set ISO to be, I would like to have the ISO as low as possible. I would like to have a shutter speed that is very short, so it gets dark. Then we can see that we get that info down here also. If you tap this one, we still can't change anything here, but we get the information about the settings that the camera have down here. And now let's tap these three dots at the top here, and then instead of being to the right, let's do the squares to the left. And here we can see that we have some more options. First we have device management. Here we can basically just see what we are connected to, and we can disconnect from the camera. And then if we go back here, we have store management, and this is where we select if we would like to record to the internal storage, that is 105 gigabytes, or if we would like to use the SD card if you have inserted one of those. You can also format the internal storage, and you can format the SD card by tapping those two options here. If we go back, we also have voice control. If we turn that on, then we can say, for example, start recording, and then the camera will start recording, and you can also tell the camera to stop recording. The next thing we have, that is Wi-Fi settings, and you can change the SSID, you can also change the password for the Wi-Fi, and here you can also switch between 5.8 GHz and 2.4 GHz. And at the very bottom we have about, and this is where we have the name of the device and also the serial number when you need to find that, and also you have the version information so you can see what kind of firmware you have on the DJI Osmo 360. So now let's try to see how far we can walk away from the camera that is placed there if we are on 5.8 GHz versus 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi setting in the camera or in the phone. Let's start here. So 1 meter is about one long step. So for you that is doing feet instead, just realize that your country has probably officially phased over to metric system, but you just haven't realized that yet. Let's start walk. We are now on 5.8. Let's just check that here. Yeah, 5.8 gigahertz. So let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Still works. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Yep, still works. 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. Does it still work? No, I think we just lost the connection. So it's somewhere here between, yeah, now we gained the connection again. So it's about exactly 50 meters on 5.8 gigahertz. Let's go back, and then we're going to do the same but on 2.4 instead. Let's go into the setting, switch to 2.4 instead. Need to reconnect, connect, join. You are connected, so let's see, we're going to walk this way again. Let's zoom in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Interesting. We have already lost connection. This is super interesting. We don't have any connection anymore. It's very, very slow. Yeah, it's kind of, this is the limit, 30. So we actually get a lot longer range when we are on 5.8 compared to 2.4. My prediction was that we should have got a little bit further on 2.4. Let's switch back to 5.8 because that is apparently a lot better. Next thing we can do that is to see each other in that playlist up here, because that is the DJI Osmo 360 playlist, and the video down at the bottom here, that is the video that YouTube recommended to watch next. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. Bye.